Hello, this is Imaduddin Aisha from Cairo, Egypt, sci-fi researcher and commentator. It's been a while, I know, but I've been busy and a bit unwell, and my voice is still a bit off. And today I'm going to do something different. Instead of talking about science fiction, I'm going to talk about the Odyssey, Homer's Odyssey as interpreted by Christopher Nolan. Why am I talking about this, and why am I going to have spoilers? Because everybody's trashing it online on YouTube as some sort of woke farce, which it isn't. Is diversity in it, but it's substantive diversity with real characters that actually push the story forward and have their own contribution to the world of the story, and played by proper actors who actually know what they're doing and are well directed. You have Athena, played by Zendaya, who actually does a good job here, and you have Helen of Troy, played by a Kenyan actress, who also does a good job here. And bear in mind that she has a twin sister who kills Agamemnon because Agamemnon killed their daughter, Iphigenia, to be able to go to Troy, get the winds to blow. And you'll notice that the little girl, when she's been taken away to be killed by her own father, is mixed race. And that's meant to tell you about the heritage. It's a cultural reference to the heritage of colonialism, imperialism. And bear in mind that Christopher Nolan is English. If anybody played a role in slavery, the slave economy, international, it was the British, beginning with Jamaica onwards. And he's mentioning that in a tongue-in-cheek fashion, an indirect fashion, through this choice of actresses, through this choice of choice of actors playing these characters. And also, he's using the black and white dualism thing, where nobody's completely good and nobody's completely evil. The Trojans, when you see them for the first time, they kill a soldier, a defenseless soldier, who's guarding the Trojan horse, and that's despite the fact that they're dressed in white. They're wearing white armor and white helmets that look like masks, like Greek masks for acting. Actor meaning hypocrite, being two-faced. And the good guys, some are white and some are black, and the bad guys, some are white and some are black. And the good guys are never completely good. They do terrible things or make horrible mistakes. The important thing is they own up to them and they repent and they go on with their lives, which is what the story of Odysseus is. And of course, Christopher Nolan's trademark way of telling a story forwards and backwards at the same time. This case very clearly modeled on Oppenheimer. He does to massive, grand scale here. And you'll also notice the genuine Greek tragedy and European heritage aspect of the movie through, again, the choice of the actors. Matt Damon, Irish and American from Boston. Anne Hathaway, ancestry is English, and very, not Nordic looking, but elfin looking person. Her nose, ears and everything. You have Tom Holland, can't remember if he's English or American, but everybody knows him from Spider-Man movies. And I don't say the pipsqueak, but he's a very Nordic-looking guy. You have his mentor, who, like I said, who looks like a Viking. So it's thoroughly European, while at the same time not attacking anybody else and learning from other people's culture and acknowledging that everybody can be equally good or equally susceptible to evil and goodness. The movie uses this imagery not just to update the myth for the modern audience, which is perfectly okay in itself. It's also doing it as a critique of the world of today. You have the Greeks trying to control the trade routes of the Aegean and seeing this as a strategic imperative and a life and death thing. It's really ambition for Agamemnon, more or less told that. And wouldn't you know it, you can tell that this is a reference to the world of today. I should have seen it coming. I didn't. But I was reading through the SRT, and at the beginning where the Trojans kill the boy soldier and get the horse, they say, this is a gift to Athena. We share the same gods. Let's take it to the temple of Athena. We share the same gods, east and west, like Islam and Christianity. It's a kind of a reference to the Crusades, in effect. We're all worshipping the same god, and yet we're fighting each other. Are we really fighting over religion and culture, or is it land and money and oil and trade routes? How ironic that the world of Homer, the Aegean, is not that different than the world of today with the Straits of Hormuz. I don't know if Christopher Nolan meant that deliberately, but it shows you how eternal and immortal the message of Homer is to this day. All you need to do is dust it off from the past and tweak it a bit to fit a more modern audience so that it takes on new relevance and it can reach new people. And that guarantees that the myth goes on. And essentially everybody's been doing that since Sophocles to Shakespeare. Shakespeare took Macbeth, which was an existing story, and tweaked it and added things from Greek myths, like the Three Witches. And the Greeks did that themselves. In the original story of Medea, the original legend, Medea didn't actually kill her children. It was the townsfolk. But the playwright changed that and made her into the villain. The foreign woman, of course. And portrayed her like a witch. And there is a witch in this story, played by a very English actress, but she also redeems herself. She has a reason for doing what she's doing. And that's also part of the morality and the Greek tragedy aspect of the story. Man is at war with nature, the gods in effect, really because he's at war with himself and his better nature and his animalistic nature. And you have this epic scene, heartbreaking, heartwarming scene, which I actually began to cry in, where Charlize Theron, Calypso, is talking to Odysseus, and she's been drugging him all this time with the lotus plant, lotus flower, which comes from Egypt, incidentally, ancient Egypt, because she loves him and she wants him to stay with her. If he remembers who he is, he might leave. But nonetheless, she helps him remember, and once it's clear that he has to go back, he has his life that he has to return to, a wife and a child, a son and a kingdom, and he has a reckoning with the sins that he's committed in his life. What happens? She tells him, you're a man always fighting to control his own fate. Don't do that. Let the storm carry the waves of the storm. They'll bring you back home. That's the only way to get back home. All this time he's been trying to go there, using his wits and his knowledge of navigation, and he fails. And he loses his whole crew and loses himself. All he had to do was trust in the gods and stop fighting them. They actually want what's best for you. Want to help you make the right choices, not force you to make the right choices. And they show you temptation, but you're the one who takes the temptation. His crew constantly are told not to do something, the prophecy says so, and they go and do the wrong thing anyway. Out of short-sightedness or forgetfulness or greed. And the movie is, I mean, even if you leave aside all this wonderful, like I said, cultural references and imagery that's being used today, and the political themes of today, and the religion of today, notice the Christian terminology used in the movie. Do unto others as you have them do unto you, the law of Zeus. Always greet guests, they could be gods in disguise, treat them like yourself, treat them as equals. The gods help those who help themselves. Famous, I think President Ramsey said that, who's also a preacher, a pastor in America. This very Christian terminology, which fits in very nicely with the world of Greek tragedy, and fits in very nicely actually with the Arabic and Islamic culture too. In Egyptian Arabic we say, Isaya abdu asamak. God tells the believer, you do pursuit and I'll pursue with you, I'll help you, I'll go along with you, but you have to take the first step. You have to get the ball rolling. So next to all that wonderful stuff, there is just the incredible movie. In terms of camera work, in terms of special effects, in terms of costume design and set pieces, and that whole ancient world, bringing it back to life. The raw feeling of that world, the untamed wilderness, the rocky mountainsides, the natural lighting, because you have candles, you have to use windows, the colors, the purples and bronzes and blues taken from the sea. It's just great. I'd still say Troy is a bit better, Wolfgang Petersen, but that's a realist movie as opposed to a movie with myths in it. And that this is more focused, it's almost like a biopic. That is a kind of grander, and it's a bigger production. Troy, there was more battles and stuff. This is more personalized and focusing on people and harrowing moral lessons. Did I explain why Zendaya looks North African? I've forgotten now. But anyway, you find out why when they conquer Troy. You find out that she's manifesting herself in the image that Odysseus can recognize so he can remember and own up for the terrible mistakes that he made. The image of Agamemnon, historians have been trashing the movie, said this is not Bronze Age art. Well, Homer was living in the Iron Age. He describes phalanx warfare, which they didn't have in the Bronze Age. They had chariot warfare. Nobody seemed to complain about Homer not being historically accurate. The guy looks like a robot. He looks like a killing machine. This dark armor covers up to here and covers his face. You can't see his face. So it makes him very foreboding, and the faceless to the faceless bureaucracy, the faceless force of nature that you can't control. And you see him in a key scene where they open the gates of Troy and it's dark outside, and the lights of the fire come on him and he lights up, in effect, because of all that metal. And it's a terrifying scene. And you have this wonderful drum beat in the background, which sounds like a heartbeat. It gets faster. And that's what they did in Oppenheimer as well. The scene where they're celebrating the success of the bomb. And you hear this sound, which you think is a train. Actually, it's people beating their feet. Here, you also get beating here later on. And it's just great. It's Greek tragedy properly done, preserving everything that's noble of the ancient Greeks and European heritage, and at the same time acknowledging other people's contributions and doing it in a up-to-date way for the modern world. Not just for the modern audience, but actually dealing with problems of the modern world, of imperialism, controlling trade routes, controlling oil, controlling sea lanes. Very British imperial things. And of course Christopher Nolan is quintessentially English as they come. So it's just wonderful. And wonderful acting. First emotional scene is where Anne Hathaway is talking to Matt Damon and trying to dissuade him from going. And she gives him a pin of Athena to always keep with him. And that sort of guides him back. You have the boy soldier who takes the place of his elder brother and gets killed in his place. And the elder brother becomes the villain of the piece, Robert Pattinson, a white guy whose right-hand man, his henchman, is a black guy. And everybody speaks with American accents, but in a way that feels organic, because they talk that way at the very beginning of the movie. And you get introduced to the characters and the bard speaking with an American accent. And like I said, it completely syncs it for the modern audience, but in a way that's true to the original. And other things like the Cyclops. The eye of the Cyclops, instead of just being a large eye like this, it's kind of a human eye that's inverted this way. And it makes him look like a deformed human being. Not somebody who's a monster, but somebody who's born wrong, in an incorrect, born deformed. And so it humanizes him. And he's not actually a threat. He only attacks when he's provoked. And he's a guy who protects the sheep, is a shepherd. And that's a classic moral image. And he closes the cave with a giant rock to protect the sheep. And he makes cheese. That's what he actually eats, cheese. He's a productive person. Takes goat's milk and turns it into cheese. It's great. While as the Greeks basically are portrayed as a bunch of pirates. They don't have anything to trade with most of the time, so they just steal it in people's homes. And they show them doing that. They're going up the learning curve themselves. Well, Odysseus goes up. The other guys go down. Down with the ship as well. But it's great. And that scene with Penelope, that's the first emotional scene. That's early in the movie. Gives you like a vitamin injection of drama and emotions and tragedy. Then you have Calypso, Charlize Theron, helping him remember and telling him that he has to strap himself to the raft so he can get home by accepting fate instead of fighting against it. And I began tearing up in that scene. And I'm quite a cynical dude. I did cry actually in Oppenheimer, to be fair, but I cried a lot more here. Particularly in the scene where the fall of Troy, and you see what happens to the statue of Athena, and, well, I won't spoil it for you, and things like that. What else is there? A note here for realism. Troy is portrayed very nicely. Inside the walls of Troy, you have two cities, a lower city and an upper city. The upper city where the aristocrats live in on a hilltop, where it's safer. That's the traditional way of building cities, and Troy was like that, the one that was found. And also inside you have things like olive groves or orange groves. And again, that's very true to the Mediterranean and the Near East. So that's a plus point for realism, at the same time as fantasy and incredible special effects. You have a foreshadowing of the collapse of that world. They talk about the sea peoples. And you have hints about the Iron Age, basically, bringing an end to the Age of Bronze. And you have these giants covered in iron who beat up the bad guys, but again not provoked. The Greek heroes, Odysseus' crew, they encounter a child, and the child gets scared and runs away. So the family comes naturally to protect them. And you'll notice that the big guys, these iron guys, the trees help them. They surround a lot of the Greeks, trap them. I think it's sort of nature itself is against the Greeks because they're robbing the gifts of of the gods, or the bounty of nature, so to speak. That's my reading of it. What else is there? Ooh. It's just a great movie, and it doesn't deserve the flack it's getting. Judge it as a work of art. It does an incredible job. Mind-bogglingly good job. It's updated for a modern audience. It has modern themes that actually resonate well with Homer and make Homer relevant. And there's nothing wrong, actually, with updating the myth. This has always been done, except Sophocles, Shakespeare. Watch Whatever Happened to the the Green Knight. There you have the boy from Slumdog Millionaire playing an English knight. And everybody's praised that movie. What about the movie like The Wiz, which is a African-American version of The Wizard of Oz, but the guy who directed it was white. The guy who did this, what's it called, Dog Day Afternoon, and a whole bunch of other classics. So there's nothing to be hypersensitive about. There's no attack on Western culture, Western values, on the person of the hero and the role of the individual, and driving history, driving things forward in the narrative. And you have all these very Nordic-looking characters, and you have them at the end going westward, and they should have gone westward at the beginning. Anne Hathaway tried to convince Matt Damon to run away from Agamemnon's order. Oh yeah, and Agamemnon and Matt Damon, when he gets recruits for the war, they're all volunteers, and they do it by lot, democratic way, which is the way they did elections in Athens. So this is a thoroughly pro-Western movie, but not in a way that's exclusionary, exclusive, that trashes everybody else. It doesn't. It shows them as they are, warts and all. And it shows other people as they are also, warts and all. The Trojans have their fair share of again, two-facedness, and killing an innocent soldier who surrenders, or these kind of things. I mean, they weren't terribly democratic, if I remember correctly. So, frankly, just don't listen to me. Go and watch the movie. Oh yeah, and concerning once again the ethnicity card, or the diversity card, I've talked before about Dune Part 1 in particular, and how it takes characters who are not the most important characters, does the gender or race swap with them, and then systematically degrades those characters and gets rid of them, or kills them off in a humiliating fashion. That's pandering. That's something to be ashamed of. Or attacking heroes like Superman and trashing him. That's also something to be ashamed of. This doesn't do that. Characters of color or gender swapped are substantive characters that stick in your mind. They have a distinct look to them. They have very good lines. They contribute to the flow of the story. They push the plot forward. You have Odysseus refusing to leave, to run away in his ship till his captain gets on board, and is played by an Indian guy. And he's willing to risk the boat against those giants covered in iron. It's a great movie. The people who are attacking it, they've become so conditioned, they've become so hypersensitive to anything with a little diversity in it, they just overreact. They're not seeing the substance of it, and the substance in the style. So that's enough for me. I don't want to spoil it anymore, and like I said, I've got a review coming out. And all cases, watch it for yourself. Don't listen to either side. But I just wanted to do my part to make things better, and also trash Denis Villeneuve along the way. And Blade Runner 2049 also is diversity in a weak, meek fashion, with all of the female characters madly in love with the hero, and all the minority characters being peripheral and forgettable. That doesn't happen here. Okay? That's EMAD, over and out, and I hope this recording is going to work. I've been doing it all day long. Goodbye.